Hello everyone, George here, and we're back in my implementation of the security room, and we are going to first deal with something that I didn't deal with in the last video, and that was the controller itself and the capsule collider that's on it. So let's hit F to frame up on that. Here you can see it's this long tube. What I'd much rather have is actually remove that. I'm going to go back to the sphere collider. I want this to be very small though. And I'm just going to have it on the tip of the object. Something like that. And this way, when we select things and so forth, it shouldn't end up being an issue. So let's see, there's that, grab this. Let's do, what, Z? Is it Z? Axis, yes. So I just want it right on the edge of that thing. There we are. Okay, we'll save that. I'm going to go to body and do apply. Come on back down. Now, what's up next? So we made the fan interactive, the doors are interactive. We don't have the lights being interactive, so that's something we can play around with. We also don't have the drawers in the desk interactive either yet now, do we? So that might be something we need to consider. So how do we want to do that? So you click on the drawer. So the drawer itself is going to need a collider, right? So we click here, add component. Let's go to box collider for right now. Do the same thing down here for this one. Box collider, there we go. And once we've done that, now it being a box collider means we can open the drawers, but we won't be able to pick stuff out of it necessarily, because we'll enter into that collider, it'll get stored as a usable object, and then there's going to be another object inside of it that's usable, and it's just going to be a giant mess. So we'll create a custom thing for that later on. So just for the moment though, let's think about how we're going to make this happen. So scripts, right click, create, C#, no, not you, go away. Right click, create, C# script, and let's call this usable translate. Or maybe not usable, maybe just interactable, I don't know. I'm gonna just call it, I'm gonna keep with the whole usable translate. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so usable translate needs to implement usable. Come on, what are you doing? Here we go. There we are. Usable translate, usable, and you need to give me some words. Let's implement the interface. Stick it down at the bottom where it belongs. So this is going to go on the object itself. So the drawer is going to get it. So let's go ahead and put it on each of these. So that one and that one are going to get a usable add component. Usable, what did I call this? Usable, whoops, looks like I got a little bit of a problem here with the name, usable translate. There we go, usable translate, usable translate. Now let's see if I can add these. So usable translate. No, okay. Let's clear this really fast, see if I'm getting some problems for some reason. So there's usable translate. Can't add because the script cannot, yeah, so there's a naming issue between the two. So usable translate is the name, save that one, come back over here and go to the name here, usable translate, F2, Control V. There we go. Now, actually, I don't want an underscore in that name. That breaks the convention I have everywhere else. So let's do that. Yes, please reload the solution. That's fine. Good for you. Yes, please. Yes, yes, yes. And get rid of that. There we go. Save. Come on back. And now we should be able to attach this to our objects. So you and you. Let's see. Usable translate. There we go. Now, I'm not using the physics system or anything. What I'm thinking about doing is storing the location that you decided to click on it. You choose a vector in any particular direction, and we're going to do a dot product of that vector against the movement of your arm from that location, and that dot product is going to end up turning into how much you should move that drawer in that direction. Does that make sense? Hold on a second. I don't actually know if this is going to work. This is something I just came up with in my head. So the idea I think that I want to try is, let's see, come on. So it's going to be something like this, I think. So let's see, let's make that smaller. You click on the, well, grid, turn that grid off. you click somewhere on the drawer itself, and that becomes an origin point. And so you click, and bam, this is your point that you click. This is the offset of the world, or the local pivot of that object. Maybe it's forward vectors right there, something like that. You choose an axis, which is you set up inside of the inspector for the X, Y, and Z components, which is the orientation that you think this thing should open up at. So I'm going to say in this case it's going to be the Z axis. So my Z1 is going to end up being 1, and these two are zeros. And when I move every update, I'm going to have so I've clicked with the trigger, and I have an origin. That's the starting point, V0. V0. I wish I had a tablet right now. So while you sustained hold down, what's going to happen basically is it's going to calculate a vector from the origin to wherever the current location of the Vive controller happens to be. Okay? And that is going to make a vector like this. Now you take this vector and you compare it to, say, the Z vector, which is slightly different. This one's a little bit off. So now you're going to compare these two vectors like this after you normalize this vector, and what you get is how much you should move in the forward Z direction based upon how much you've moved over here with your controller. So it's basically taking out all the excess information about moving in the other coordinates, in the other vectors, and it's only showing you how much you can move in one direction, which is exactly what we kind of want here. So let's see if we can make this happen. And I, once again, don't know if this is going to work. I'm assuming it will because all that made sense in my brain, but we'll find out what doesn't make sense soon enough, I'm sure. And so we're going to need an origin. So that's going to be a vector 3 origin, or V0, a starting point, V0. And let's just set that equal to a new vector. And set it to null for right now, because it will be null. You're not going to let me be, really? Cannot convert null because it is non-nullable value type. Oh, you. Okay, so vector 3 is right there. That's our initial point. And then we might want to have a bool value, or we might not. That's going to be called like holding down. I don't know at the moment. But anyway, that's going to happen as we're holding. So I am going to need the position of what? The hand object. The user hand, something like that. I'm going to need its position, and I'm going to constantly use that and update. I'm just going to call it V1 for here. And I'll end up taking V1 minus V0. And that's going to end up equaling a new vector 3 called distance away. That is the distance our current controller is away. We're also going to want to normalize this value. So dot norm. Come on, what are you doing? Transform. V1 dot position. There we go. Now, actually, should I be querying the Vive itself? Should I just be doing Vive input dot get instance? Did I add a function to do that? Dot get. Let me do this and start. I can't remember if I made a function for this. Dot get. Do I have a dot get position? It looks like I don't. So I should probably add that. Yeah, I don't have anything like that. So let's go back into Vive input and add that, because it'd be very likely that we would want to query the positions of that stuff. Although technically we could do that naturally, but we should probably make it through Vive input just so that it's easy for anyone to grab hold of it. So, okay, so Vive input. Oh, actually, the controllers have it, if I remember, right? No, they don't. Okay, so it is Vive input. So you got all these methods. Now, actually, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, there's Vive controller left, Vive controller right. I thought I had done something. That's usable object. That's not what I want. So for instance, if I go to the body and we look at the head, here's the camera, which is automatically handled by VR. Now the controller left has a device left hand field. So there's a Vive device field right there. So here's my script Vive device tracker. Where is that within this whole thing? Did I leave that? I'm really apparently poor at keeping things in the right places. Vive controller, there we go. So this is the class we made, which has already been changed for us in the latest update to the mixed reality stuff, which is nice. But this is where you grab the information. So what I should really be doing is using that to my advantage to grab things. So the Unity engines.xr.xr node is an enumeration, and I can use that to select what device I want to query. And I would want to do that inside of a call, a general call that everyone else uses inside of Vive input. So let's do this. I'm going to copy that really quick and go to Vive input, and we'll just scroll to the top and make these accessor functions that are going to help us out. And once again, these are just meant to make life easier so that you're not writing or trying to remember all the mixed reality stuff, especially since they just changed it all. So I'm making my own method of working with this stuff. So let's do a public, vector3 get device position. The idea is that this is how it works within the context of my game. Vector, actually, we're going to want a quaternion also. Quaternion get device quaternion. Okay, that'll take in one of these objects, the Unity engine.xr.inputtracking.local, whatever. So I think we need to do a using for that, don't we? So let's do using Unity engine.xr. And hold on, device. So let's go back here. No, this is what we want, node. So going back over here to Vive input, get rid of these two lines real quick. There we are, and we'll put that in and that in. And device. And it was stupid of me to have deleted that, so we have to fix that now. Back and forth, here we go. Copy that. And paste, and this one's local position, so this rotation goes away. This one's a rotation, so that one goes away. And we want to return this value and return this value. Once again, this is just a global way for us to know the positions of a particular device. This way, I don't need to constantly fight for a reference to the hand or some other object. If I just need the position of that, I know the hand is going to use the same position. So there, I've got it. It saves my ass, basically, and keeps things a lot simpler for me when I know I don't need a real reference to something. Okay, so with that, I can go over here now and start thinking about how we're going to make this stuff work. So now I can call, Vive input dot get instance dot get device position, and then we're going to pass in dot, I want whatever device did this, which I don't know yet. It could have been the left hand or the right hand. So that's an issue we're dealing with right now, is who handled this event. So the use method is probably going to need to be extended to include the person doing the using, I should say, I guess. in which case this function probably becomes not required again. So let's jump over to the use manager and usable, or use whatever I called it. So scripts, we're gonna need to refactor some code, that's for sure. All right, so use manager has the use interface right here. And then I guess we can do, how do we want to do this? Should it be a game object we pass? Should it be a component? Should it be something else? Is it the use manager that should be doing this? Or should the hand be doing this instead? Right now, the use manager is making decisions completely separate from anything else going on in the entire scene. And that can be dangerous. There's no regulation right now or setting the kind of mode the hand selector is in. I mean, technically I could have pressed, I can press the trigger button and have like 4 different things happen. Not only using something, but if I had a menu attached to it and something else. So that begs the question that I should start creating the separate controller class for all of this stuff. Like these ones we see here. And not have the use manager necessarily handle it for us. Okay, well let's start fleshing this out and think about how we can make this happen. So, Vive controller left, Vive controller right. Does it technically do I need 2 separate ones? Yes, in the case of if I don't abstract it down far enough. So right now, let's keep them as 2 separate things. I might want to know what mixed reality device I'm actually working with. So let's add that first. We're going to add one of these XR nodes. Well, actually, no. I shouldn't need to. The Vive controller left and Vive controller right should work in tandem with a Vive device tracker right there. And therefore, what I can do is required component and do type of, and that will be Vive device tracker. Now you're required to have a device tracker, which means I can grab that device tracker here. So let's do that twice. Let's do Vive, let's just do Vive device tracker and device tracker. And we'll grab that in start or somewhere, it doesn't really matter. Is equal to get component and Vive device tracker. Now that we have that, we should be able to easily access what kind of device we have. Is device something get? Yeah, let's do .get device. So Vive device tracker. This is protected, so we want to implement that. So what? Public void get device. Return device. And this should be a return type of this. All right. So we can now grab from device tracker dot get device. So we can work with the device now. That's all I wanted to do. Okay. The next step is we have onUse and we call the use method on that object. So are we in essence completely bypassing the use manager already? Sorry, it's been a while and I'm trying to remember why the heck I have this manager to begin with. What are you doing for me? There's a camera. So if I take that information and place it into the controller, so here's the usable object right there. Here's the enter, here's the exit. I'm already doing that here. It looks like I've taken that stuff and implemented it over in the other one anyway. So I don't really feel like I need this at all. I've got to be doing something wrong though. I want to take a quick look. Okay, we'll go with that. We'll just go with that. So I'm going to remove the use manager from the scene. We're going to do a test run to see whether or not things continue to work, and we'll go from there. So do I actually call the use manager from anything? That's going to be a big question. All right, let's condense some things. There we go. Turn on the controllers and let's run this. Uh-oh, we got an error. Yeah. No thanks, HTC. There we are. Let's hit run now. Should be good to go. If it ever wants to start, we should be ready. Come on. There we go. Okay. I'm in the room. Jeez, where's my controller? There it is. Let's back up. Go over. I just want to see. Deep, deep, ding, ding. That all seems to work still. And boop. That works. Great. That works. And this thing's not working yet. The other stuff. Uh-oh, here they come. That's so screwed up. That's you can't see anything on Foxy's thing. That needs to be illuminated with lights or something. You can't see anything of the stage. Okay. Well, the game's over, huh? Actually, you know what? Is the power out? No, 2, 1. Is this... There, it stopped. Should probably also make that slow down at some point. But anyway, I just wanted to see if the use manager actually did anything. And right now, it's not. So, goodbye. We're going to delete that from the scene. Save. Clear. And go back into the code. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly making usable translate something that will work. That is my goal. So I have distance away right here. I do need a forward vector. So we need vector 3 forward vector. And this one can be serializable. Oh, serialized field, whatever. There we go. There we are. And what else? So you can specify a forward vector. I'm just going to set it to be the z direction by default. So vector 3 dot forward. Well, no, it should be this dot. No, okay, we'll do that. What we're going to do is inside of start, we don't want to set it there either, do we? All right, we're going to let it be what it is. How about that? We want to grab the forward vector here and work with that. So we need to do a dot product. So forward vector, you know, let's use a bool. Let's do that. So we're going to do serialized field and bool use forward vector. And that's going to be set to false by default. And you can enter in your own. If you choose this, it's just going to default to using the forward vector of the object. Otherwise, it's whatever one you specify. So inside of start, we're just going to do forward vector is going to be equal to this dot transform dot forward. And that's going to be if... Actually, that's just going to happen. If use, actually, I can't do it that way, can I? If use forward vector, then do this. You know, grab the forward one and work with that. Okay, so now we need to do a dot product. This still hasn't been normalized, so let's do that. Dot normalize. Which one gives me the vector 3 back? This one. Okay. So distance away. This one. So let's do vector 3 dot dot product and close you off. So forward. It doesn't matter order for dot product, so we can put them in any order we want. So now a forward vector should be normalized. This one is also normalized. We're going to get a value between +1 and -1, indicating how aligned these two are. Now we need a maximum distance that you're allowed to move. Let's also make that serialized var field. We're going to do float max distance. And that's going to be dependent upon whatever you're working with. I'm just going to say for right now it's 1.0f. But I have no idea. And really, I need to know when I can stop moving this object. And I guess I'm done when the result of the dot product is 0, or very close to 0. Because then I'm back at the origin, and I'm very perpendicular. Maybe. I'll have to think about it. Anyway. I need to know how far away the position of this current object. So let's do something. So I want to do transform, or this dot transform, whatever. This dot transform dot position is going to be equal to local position, excuse me. And what I want to do now is have moved this from the initial point that we will have, which is V0. So V0 is the beginning of everything. So V0, whoops, it's going to be that plus the forward vector times the dot product result. I think. So in a perfect world, you've got your initial point here that you always know, and then you keep moving your controller all around the place, you know, all over the world, and it doesn't matter because you can always go back to that initial point. And you're only moving along one vector. And we've taken whatever, you know, it doesn't matter if you're here, it takes that point that you're at and puts it onto that vector by using the dot product. So by adding from V0 the amount that you move perpendicular to this vector, you end up with how far out it should be along that particular axis, or that vector. So that should work. I think. We'll find out at some point. Save that really quick. I might want to do this in the late update. Just because I am relying on sensor data. Okay, so let's start thinking about how I make this actually work. So the Vive left controller is going to click on an object for use. So this occurs. I click the trigger, on use happens. If there is a usable object, I call its use method, which sends us back over to usable translate. Now I need to know the state of that trigger. The minute I let go is when I should stop continuing to record what's happening. So how do I want to handle that? Should use have be much like a collider, a trigger? There's a use enter, a use sustain, and a use exit. I think that's what I'm going to want to do. So let's do that. Going back to use manager. So there's use enter, or use start, void use end, and then void use sustained. something like that. I forget, what does Unity call it again? Does not implement, yeah, I know, guys. Just 5 seconds, okay? On collision stay is what they call it. So we'll stick with Unity's convention and call this stay because it's also shorter. So we'll do stay. And now we just need to implement that in a bajillion D other places. So this is usable light, implements usable, blah, 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 blah. You're a bad person because you didn't implement the interface. So void use if this dot enable dot. So this is going to be use enter. I would say these two are, wait, use start. Yeah, use start sounds better. So use start. And we're going to ignore these ones. We don't care about them. Literally, it's just going to be return. I didn't even want to throw exceptions here. I just want to do that. We're not using those. What else? So that's use that. Let's go to, those are the buttons. That's the fan manager, which implements powered, but does not have anything to do with use, correct? But shouldn't the buttons? Yes, they do. Let's implement those, please. Oh, that's cool. Okay. It auto did that. How come it's not auto doing this, though? There we are. So, implement interface. So if I say explicitly, so we'll get rid of this one, and we want start to happen here. At least I think we do. Fan manager. Did I screw something up in the fan manager already? Ah, something got changed. All right, implementing these as well. Come on. Alt enter, implement interface. Use start. This one can go away. And just return, why not, and return. All right, so what else do we got? We got problems everywhere, right? All right, main menu problems. We got fan problems. We got door problems. Let's fix the door problem first. All right, so Alt enter, interface. That one can go, that can go, and that can go. Save. Now, what's up next? There's the fan off button, which is not good. And let's implement that interface. And you can go there. You can be deleted. Save. Let's go back. This is just some cleanup now, it looks like. Medium button, Alt enter. Start, end, and this can go. And going back again. We're getting there, up to 19. Let's see, exit, usable, Alt enter. Come on. There we go. Implement, start. This one needs to go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Save that. These don't need to exist at the moment, apparently. So they can both go. Just cleaning up some code here. Coming back over here. Down to 16. Click it again. And enter. Yes. Now then. So we have use. That's not what I wanted. Alt enter. Implement the interface. Only one is start. Huh. This isn't even doing anything right now. This is just here to annoy me, apparently. I guess I was working on that one level, or the one scene, and then I just gave up at some point in the past, and I've completely forgotten about it. Okay, come on. Main menu settings. Yeah, this is... Use start. use what? End. I'm just going to copy these two for all our future endeavors. Here's the next one. Start menu, and use stay, and those get to go there and do nothing. Come back, and here's the last one in here. So use stay. Already defined. So you can go, save really quick. So we have use stay, use end, but we also need void use sustained, because that one is going to be very important for us. Oh, not use sustained, use stay. That's going to bite me, I'll tell you right now. Use start. Okay. Are you still giving me crap? Come on. What is it? Did I mess up one of these? Okay, you know what? I'm over this. You yell at me all you want to. I'm just going to do the clickety thing and let it figure itself out. I don't know why it's doing that, but it wants to do that. I don't care. We're not going to let it. And we're going to make it public just to make it even happier. And then we're going to grab that line of code, which probably doesn't even work anymore. Does it? Yeah, it's the scene manager, so it does work. Never mind. It's the newer stuff, not the old stuff. Okay. Well, this video's gone pretty long. I do want to do one thing. I just want to run it and make sure there are no more errors. We do have errors, so never mind. I just want to make sure I'm not screwing myself over. So let's alt enter, implement the interface for those ones, get rid of the original use one, save that. Let's go back over here and clear that out. Usable does not contain something about use. So this should be use start. Is that it? Yeah, use start. There you go. There's all that stuff for you. Let's go back again. Should only be in one other place that I do this kind of stuff. That's over here. And these should also just be use starts right now. Okay, and hopefully the errors are almost gone. I don't know which one I'm actually calling it, so we're just going to do start for right now. And that should be it for errors, right? And if we hit run, do we get anything that comes up that's really bad? I just want to be in a neutral place before I stop this video. What is going on? Oh, there we go. All right, no errors, so that's a good place to be. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and we will, of course, finish up making the usable stuff work with our extended use system and be able to hopefully open some drawers up without using any kind of a physics system, because I just find that sometimes things go really wrong when you do that. So long. See you next time. Bye.